So the first talk or sharing in this FB Live series will explore how the home can become a school of reading. Most people don't think about the process of learning to read until they decide to start teaching their own children at home. In my personal experience, I have not really had the experience to teach someone to read, but my friends, parents in the school where I work told me that teaching their children to read is something they have discovered during the time that we had a crisis during the Taal volcano eruption. And contrary to what some people believe, learning to read is not a natural process that happens all on its own. It is a complex one that requires the proper teaching of various skills and strategies, such as phonics, which is knowing the relationship between letters and sounds, and phonemic awareness. This is probably something not similar to our experience when we were younger, when we were using abacada and babe bibo boo. It's no longer the type of reading which actually helps modern readers to read. But I would like to ask this question. Do we really start teaching reading at an early age? Experts actually say that it is very important to teach first oral language because children pick up an oral language from birth. While much of their verbal communication develops naturally, they need opportunities to practice talking in order to develop their understanding of spoken language. And the home is an ideal place to improve oral language through activities that expand vocabulary and support the use of spoken words. You will be surprised if, for example, you see a child after 2 years old could not utter a syllable. You'll be surprised if the child cannot say dada or mama or papa. So, you know, these are oral language development is something that we have to be aware of because some parents would say, I will teach my child to read right away. So what we have to teach the child is first his or her oral language. And even doing sounds of animals may be considered a learning tool. Uh, if you live in the barrios or in smaller barangays in far-flung areas, the child meets different kinds of animals, carabaos, cows, goats, and others. So um, when we teach children farm animal words and noises, we're not only teaching them about the many sounds we make in our language, but also about our culture and of the world. In fact, if you read different kinds of literature, there's a different sound of a rooster in the Philippines, tiktilaok, and a different one in England. So, dear parents, talk to your children, speak to them, sing to them, lull them in your beautiful lullabies in order to develop oral language. And children also develop their first words between 12 and 18 months of age. And at this point, they have to be able to utter syllables already. But as I have mentioned, the title of our talk this afternoon or tonight is Building Family Reading Time here at Read at Home. So, with oral language development as the basis of reading, how do we build family reading time? I have mentioned that we have to spend time on talking and speaking to our children in order to develop language. But parents might ask, how do we really build family reading time? family reading time for me should be fun learning time. It's not just fun, it's not just learning, it's fun learning time. So I want to go first to my number one point. Parents, grandparents, and co-family members, let us treat reading as a community building activity rather than an academic exercise. Pag may mga bata po na sabi nyo, oh, spell cat, CAT, so natutuwa tayo, pero are we aware if the child is knowledgeable of letters already, or we are just challenging the child to memorize words? So as I mentioned, let us treat reading as a community building activity rather than an academic exercise. In Filipino, we could say, let us train readers and not kabisote, yung people who just rely on rote memory. So how do we espouse family reading time? Maybe in this pandemic, for example, gathering around the living room with magazines, coloring books, storybooks, newspapers, and other printed materials reinforces the love for reading at home. In reality, my dear parents, our children need models. As in life, no? We all need models. We need heroes. We need saints. Children first learn about reading by watching adult readers handle books and other reading materials. Maybe you have taken this love of reading from a family member, from your brother, from your sister, or from your grandparents. So children learn how to hold a book, where to find the front cover, the title, the author, pictures, and words in books. In fact, when a parent or a grandparent reads a book to a child, he or she points out these key features while reading aloud. Pinapakita po natin sa mga bata yung paano natin hawakan ang aklat, ang dyaryo, ang coloring book. Tinuturo natin sa kanya ang tamang orientasyon mula sa kaliwa, hanggang sa kanan. A reading expert actually says that kids can pretend to read stories they have heard many times, and they can guess words from pictures and the illustrations. However, all of their feats of reading are performed by using cues that do not involve the alphabetic system, even if they don't know the alphabet yet, they can actually seem to read. Kids at a young age only look at pictures. And at these early stages of reading, this is what we call pseudo-reading. And in this phase of development, children may appear to read words, but they do so by remembering visual features rather than by connecting letters to the spoken sounds they represent. So, yung parang gaya-gaya po tumaya. Nagbabasa lang kunwari, pero wala namang nababasang letra.